Hello, and welcome to another week of live streaming for the Abusecartoons.com cartoon. And it's me again doing this. I could barely, sorry about that, barely get up the energy to actually do this. So I'm not sure if this is going to actually work as the new time, but I was going to try to do, Monday morning here. So I guess that's Sunday night for North America. So let's see how that goes. I'm not sure that's necessarily a great time, but it might work okay for my schedule for this year so far. But that's the thing that's difficult is my unpredictable schedule makes it really hard to kind of do things on a regular basis. But I'll try to do as early as possible on Sunday night, and we'll see how that goes. Oof. So hopefully everything is sounding okay. I had a wonderful experience this weekend. We live streamed for the other podcast, Idle Red Hands, for about 7 hours. And 5 of those hours, there was no audio. And nobody commented or messaged our live stream. While that was happening, they just clicked thumbs down and logged off. So yeah, it's a little bit, I guess constructive criticism is not something that the internet is known for. So if you're upset that there's no sound on a live stream, you might want to tell them that that's what's going on. Yeah, I made the mistake of switching kind of frame sets between the two live stream sessions. The first one was perfect, sounded perfect, came across, streamed perfectly, and then when I reset everything up for the RPG session, there was no audio. And because I had to do things kind of in a hurry because we, had kind of limited time, of course, I didn't check. And that's the thing that I've done that on this stream as well. When I've had guests, I've either not had audio or the guest has not had audio, and I'm just talking to myself. Or so that's happened a lot here. So it's a little frustrating because the thing that I hate the most about live streaming is the first 5 minutes of someone sitting there going, "Can you hear me? Is this working? Is audio? Am I coming through? Am I broadcasting? Can you see me? Are you streaming? Am I streaming?" It's ridiculous. I mean, that shows the flaw of the software and the flaw of the technology. You're putting something out there live, and you have no idea what you're actually putting out there, what condition it is, and whatever. There's no way to audition in this software like exactly what is going to be coming through, or there's no way on a lot of these streaming sites, and until you're live, there's no way to, put something out there and not have it live and see what you're doing. You just go directly live, so it doesn't make any sense. There's got to be some sort of test setting or some kind of staging or something where you can do all of your checks, the lighting and sound and sound check and do everything and then go live. But no, that's not how they do it. So everyone can be as unprofessional as possible and spend the first 5 minutes of every cast going, hello, can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? That's ridiculous. So so I'm trying to spare people that, and that's what happens. You get focus camera problems, or you get audio problems because there's no way to even tell what you're putting out there. It's not good. That just talks a lot about the infancy that this freaking, technology is in. But anyhow, so in a real foul mood, so I'm sure that'll come across as this continues. So really miserable streaming RPG and streaming session this weekend. So 7 hours, and so I was just exhausted the next day and just don't even want to think about doing that again for a month. So we'll see how it goes. But I was don't have, and I think I'm going to kind of stop doing that for a while because I don't know how much of the audience that's actually watching this are creative people and are very interested in my opinions about being creative. So I thought I would just talk about whatever. And the one thing that hit me pretty hard when I was trying to do so In Japan, the beginning of the year is when they bombard you, and I don't remember if that's the case in North America because they've already kind of shaken every penny they can out of you for the Christmas shopping season. But I don't remember if there was a lot of New Year's sales in the U.S. or not. But there are here because everyone's got their family money. The kind of, New Year's present is just a little envelope full of money. And so people are eager to spend that. So they do a lot of sales in the new year. And so I was just trying to take advantage of that and do a little bit of shopping. And the place that I went, and mostly because it's one of the few reliable places here that actually fits me, like where the clothing actually fits me, but the clothing shop Zara was in the Shinsaibashi area, and so I went there just to see what they had, and it's been years. It's been at least 5 years since I've been in that store, and but it's reliably, like when I'm looking for something, it's reliably a place that's actually going to have sleeves that aren't 2 inches too short, or whatever, or styles that aren't like obviously young Asian style that I would look ridiculous in, but it's even worse than that now. So from what I remember hearing about the founder of that company, I mean, he's like the richest man in the world because he sees the kind of the way Starbucks sees coffee production, and McDonald's sees beef production. For their companies to be successful, he did something where he seized a lot of fabric or cotton industry production, so that he was able to do fabrics very, very cheaply, and kind of that kicked off the whole H&M, Uniqlo, Zara, fast fashion kind of thing that we're stuck in the middle of now. And so I just kind of avoid it when I can. But the thing that was really shocking, so going there again recently, I was really shocked about how horribly low quality things have become, because Zara is like a Spanish origin shop. When it was first opened, you could reliably get cheap leather there, so cheap belts and boots and bags, and then because of the fabric production, cheap T-shirts and kind of casual dress shirts and things that at a decent price, that were okay quality and kind of interesting designs. But now it looks like some kind of bizarre cosplay shop, where if you want to look like some low level mafia thug or a Nazi officer in dress uniform, like that's what most of the stuff. It's bizarre how costumey it is, and it's bizarre how synthetic it is. Everything is polyester, nylon blended. There's no cotton in the entire place, and everything that looks like leather is PVC. So there is literally no real clothing in that shop, and the styles that it's a weird just combination. It's like if you went to this like time travel based used clothing store, it's clothing styles from every era you can imagine, just kind of all thrown together. So there's a lot of 60s inspired, or not even inspired, just kind of knockoff, like 60s knockoff, 70s knockoff, 80s knockoff styles of clothing, and it's really bizarre. So I don't know what they're doing, and I maybe that kind of costume, like pushing the styles to be more severe helps to accelerate the speed of the fashion, the way in which you'll use it and just throw it away. And I can't even imagine, looking at most of the things there, that they would even last a single season, because they're all simulated. They're all polyester simulations, and it's not even now. They don't even, because that's the thing that's so funny, is like used clothing stores in the 80s were just flooded with polyester pantsuits and things from kind of our grandparents' generation of casual wear, because that stuff lasts forever. But now they've come up with a way to produce synthetic fabric where it just starts to break down immediately and fall apart and deform from washing and things. So it used to be kind of I remember that it's being uncomfortable and kind of indestructible. And now the style of, blended synthetics just means it falls apart instantly, or it loses its shape and it just looks, cheap and horrible immediately. So very, very strange. So I have no idea what is going on with that company, but it reminded me of the thing that a lot of technology that's happening with a lot of technology, and that we're kind of dealing with, or we will be dealing with for decades to come, until there's a kind of rethinking. There's kind of a rethinking about antitrust and kind of protecting consumers and things in the U.S. But sorry, stretch this out a little bit. The technique, and I think it's actually just imitated from Walmart's technique. Like they're reproducing Walmart's success with their strategies, and where you just you find something because everything is kind of taken care of. There's not like huge, for a company that really that wants to be a multi-million-dollar multinational company. There's not really big holes in services or things that people need anymore. I mean, pretty much everything is fulfilled as far as like what people would want as far as food or entertainment or transportation or whatever. That's all taken care of. You're not going to find any big glaring omissions from people's lives, and something that you could actually fulfill with your idea, your company. So what people are doing are supplanting maybe things that they see as weak or vulnerable. So like, public transportation or taxi services, or, the online, or I guess, just retail in general, just attacking things that they're seeing as weaknesses, and moving in with a service or a technology that supplants a traditional thing like the post office or taxis or hotels or whatever. So like Airbnb or Uber, or what Amazon is trying to do to retail and mail order. You're moving in and you're just taking a huge loss. You're just starving out your competition, but you work to be so pervasive and so convenient that you'll basically, there's no way that you will lose if done correctly. There's no way you're going to lose in that market, because you're going to be much more appealing and much more convenient than the older thing that you're working to replace. And then once you've defeated that, once you have supplanted that and become the more popular way to do that, order movie tickets or whatever, then you can do whatever you want. Your fees can be whatever you want. Your services can be whatever they want. The quality of your goods or services can be as low and miserable as they want. And there's then no alternative. People can't go back to the old way, because the old way is dead. And so that clothing experience, clothes shopping experience reminded me of that so much, that these garbage clothing stores that don't even sell clothing anymore. They don't even sell anything that resembles, a piece of clothing that you could have for more than a year. On the same layer. So once that's all there is, I mean, that's insane. That is really, really insane that they've kind of figured out a way to make things so poorly and so cheaply that you if you wear them more than once, you regret it. And that's just insane. It's really really frustrating and really shocking. But that's the same strategy that most businesses now use for success in anywhere, is they just are going to try to starve out, and not necessarily a thriving or a healthy industry, but they're just going to starve them out and supplant them. And so things that were, reliable, not great, but at least reliable, and that are necessary. So the only thing that, people haven't figured out, because there's not going to be a good technological answer for that, is something like the airlines. Like, that's the thing that's really miserable or something that I'm glad I don't deal with as much anymore, is domestic airlines in North America, just garbage. And I can't imagine having, have my work schedule, or, something that I was doing tied to how am I going to get there and how am I going to be on time and not have to deal with canceled flights and everything. But, there's nobody that can move in and kind of replace that, because the, expense of, and, unless there's a huge airship technology or something, dirigible or something that moves in. But I know that's something that is a very weak and very, it's astonishing that they can't figure out how to make money, that airlines can't figure out how to make money when everybody in North America needs to use them at some point. There's just almost no way to not, unless you're in that, rare situation where you and your entire family are, all within a day's drive of each other, which is, very uncommon anymore. But yeah, that was really depressing. That was I was just trying to get a good deal on a pair of pants or a jacket, and I had to deal with this whole, nightmare of capitalism or consumerism that has just become the norm. It's funny when you spend any time away from this sort of thing and the water doesn't slowly heat up, you react much stronger to it. It's much more shocking how hot the water's gotten and how boiling everybody is when you haven't kind of slowly been climatized to the way things are. I don't know. It's really crazy. So everybody is living like a fashion obsessed teenager, because they just must have a closet full of synthetic clothes that they just keep recycling, just keep throwing out, because the styles are changing fast enough and the quality of the clothing is so low that you wouldn't even want to wear it anymore. It's really crazy. But that just reminded me of how everything is kind of being exploited and made miserable and disposable. It's just so amazing. And not that I think it would be a great idea to go back to a day when we carried our televisions to a repair shop, but there's got to be better alternatives than kind of forcing this weird, it's like planned obsolescence on this, like, rapid scale that people don't even realize they're being victimized by. I mean, I don't think people's smartphones anymore even last the length of their mobile plan. The plan you have to make with a mobile carrier. The phones that they're making now, cost double what they used to cost, and they don't even last as long as the contract. So it's very strange that we're still dealing with that sort of system, and that there's no I don't know. I guess that they're making enough money or whatever, but that the carriers would not say, yeah, we're not going to carry your phone because it's a piece of garbage. It's amazing. So yeah, that's just kind of what was frustrating me kind of in my head. I don't know if there's actually a way to put that in a cartoon. I think I have on occasion tried to get that frustration in there, but yeah, it's not always very successful in a cartoon like this. But yeah, it's quite a time we're living in, and it's amazing how everyone's trying to shorten the length of time with which in something lasts, and the fact that so many things are going to be all digital soon. Television and movies and music are going to be all digital. That just means they don't even exist. They're completely temporary and non-physical, so they can just disappear at any time. Yeah, that's really crazy. So instead of having to buy, the same album or the same movie on a newer piece of physical media, you're just going to lose it and have to buy it all over again as companies, kind of rise and fall and technologies kind of go away. Oof. Yeah, it's crazy because we've got that Disney streaming service coming out soon, which is going to probably mess up the whole deal pretty good because Disney has acquired so many things now that if you're a parent, it's going to be pretty inescapable to not have that. And so that's going to put stress on, the existing streaming companies, which aren't doing great anyhow. I think all of the streaming companies now, their original content is real hit or miss. But, that means that kind of thing won't even exist anymore. They're going to have to be real careful with what they produce as far as original content and stop just throwing money around and trying to see what hits. What am I doing? I'm doing this. No. But yeah, so I'm not looking forward to that. I think that's happening this year. Oh, well, sorry. I was more tired than I thought. Yeah, so this new schedule is also based on my being able to get here earlier in the morning. Not that I did that today. There was a bunch of stuff that happened in the morning, but that's the idea. But that also means I'm going to be maybe a little more useless than usual. I'll just need to be more caffeinated, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, really depressing. I'm already starting to feel the come down from the holidays and just getting back to regular everything is miserable. So, and this is that weird, horrible part of the year. So it's funny. That's why it doesn't make any sense. Like the most common time for suicide is around the holidays. But I would imagine, just in my experience, the most common, where I would see it being the most suicidal is after the holidays, when there's literally nothing to look forward to until spring. Yeah, it's very, very crazy. And that's the bad thing here too, is that the pollen starts as early as like mid-February. So I can't even enjoy the spring without anticipating that horrible allergy season that they have here in Japan. What am I doing? So yeah, I've got this all off now. But yeah, so this is that long dark hall into springtime. We'll do something like that. And we're still on that same layer. Whoa, nice. Oh, it was just both things were selected as well. Yeah, I thought I had... I don't know what I'm doing here. I was thinking about drawing PVC pipe. I don't know why I'm doing that. That doesn't seem... I think because I said PVC as far as the leather being all vinyl now. Ugh. Oh. But yeah, it's just amazing. And I guess, different gaps and different breaks between generations and technologies have felt that same thing, but it's really disgusting to watch. I mean, I thought things were trashy and horrible in the 70s and 80s, but they've gotten even worse. I mean, yeah, I can't believe things can even be more insubstantial. I don't know what the word is for it, but how much less value can something actually have, and people still want to be putting a price on it. So what I'm saying is clothing should become all digital. We should just all be wearing some sort of pliable LCD embedded fabric that that we display our fashions on. So you have to download your fashions. You can subscribe to a fashion service where you can download various fashions and wear those, because that's exactly the logical conclusion to what the kind of fast fashion is doing. If they're just ways to decorate your avatar, that's exactly where they would want to be. And you don't even have to produce anything anymore, which would be good for child labor. That would eliminate a lot of that. Okay, what is this? So, all right, something like that. Weird. Okay. Yeah, I still don't have any ideas. Just a lot of frustration. All right. Try another layer. So. Something like this. Ugh. I was watching a depressing video comparing the original version of the Korean film Old Boy with the Spike Lee remake. Oof. What a piece of garbage film that was. That was almost like someone kidnapped his dog and forced him to make that movie. He cared so little about what that was. And then I remember that controversy about the designer they hired and then didn't pay to produce those posters. That was really, really sad and disgusting. Yeah, such an amazing. The original is so amazing, but it's so funny that the whole American movie mentality is they should just find very popular things in foreign languages and not import them. No one's going to read subtitles, so let's just remake them with, bankable faces, recognizable, celebrities, and just try to, take advantage of that. But the whole thing is, when something is successful, it's not just because it's a good story or because it's an interesting idea. Like, a lot of things have kind of coalesced, like the cast and the writing and the director, and then the context at that time in that culture where it's taking place, and then that's a big part of why it's successful. So when you adapt it for a foreign culture and it loses so much of that, it's probably gonna lose its whole point of existing, and you can't. It's so bizarre, because if this was very popular in South America, okay, I don't know what that's going to do. That doesn't sell tickets. I mean, that could sell, tickets to the art house showings of the original, with subtitles on it. But as far as like Hollywood movies, it's strange. There's been very few, remakes that have, especially of foreign films, that have been done well and were interesting enough and they kind of reframed them or kind of reworked them so that they made more sense in the U.S. market. And especially, I remember all that Japanese horror in the late 90s, I guess it was the late 90s in Japan, mid to late 90s, and then early 2000s in America. The Grudge and The Ring and all of the remakes of Pulse and everything. And most of them, I guess that's funny though, Ju-on, the Grudge was actually the Japanese director. They had him do, with Sarah Michelle Gellar, they had him direct American, like an English language remake of that movie. That was so bizarre because I don't think he could communicate well. I think he used his crew, and he couldn't communicate well with the actors. That's just bizarre. Yeah, I remember watching something about that and thinking, wow, that's a crazy idea. Because I mean, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense to have the original director direct it, but it doesn't mean that he's gonna have any idea about how to make that make any sense for Americans. All right, a cell phone as an alarm clock. You have a strange, the new smartphone that I have. I don't know, I'm talking about technology because I hate it so much, but it's the Pixel 3, the new Google phone, and it has a very weird feature that I don't know if it's a Pixel thing or if it's an Android, or maybe just an Android, the latest version of Android. But for the alarm clock, it has a sunrise setting, so that the display, the front of the phone usually just shows the time is black, you know, with white characters on a black background, so very good for at night in your bedroom. But 15 minutes before the alarm goes off, it starts to turn like a dark red, and then it goes into a red, orange, then yellow, and then a white right before it the alarm goes off. And I guess the idea is it brightens up the room. I guess that means you're living in a windowless cell. The only way. See, that's the thing, that a lot of this technology, I don't know who designs this and what. I mean, it's almost like people orbiting the Earth, you know, in the lifestyle that they have is so different from how most people function that it just doesn't make any sense. So I guess, you know, in the winter time when the sun is up pretty late and you're already out of the house before dark, and in some parts of the world or whatever, that would make sense. Or if you lived in a windowless cell, that would make sense. But for the most part, you don't have to simulate the sunrise because the sun is rising naturally. So if you have windows in your house, the light, you know, would be waking you up anyhow. But I guess it's just it's a gimmick to kind of help the help with waking you more gently, because I still remember, like, most of my life was just those horrifying, like, 70s and 80s clock radios that just screamed at you. So, like, the first thing in the morning, your heart is just like pounding, and you're just like desperately trying to turn off that horrifying noise. So I remember waking up to a lot of terrible noises. So cell phones and smartphones as alarm clocks have helped that a lot, because there's a lot more gentle waking and gradually getting louder and sorts of things that they've done, so you're waking up a little bit nicer. Who knows if that has any health benefit or physical benefit at all, but yeah, it's just less traumatic. You fear your alarm much less when it's your smartphone. But that gimmick of it getting brighter is yeah, that's a funny thing. That's a very, I don't know, that's a very weird thing. I think people that are doing interface design and software design, and especially for kind of personal devices and electronics and stuff, I don't know what planet they're living on. I mean, planet San Francisco or planet Silicon Valley or whatever, where everybody is trying to cultivate this bizarre, technology, weird lifestyle. But most people don't live like that, so it's a very odd choice. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I should probably, if I'm doing this, do dual cameras, because everything's got dual cameras. There we go. Okay, so morning, something that would be a nice contrast to a smartphone as a clock radio. Yeah, that's the other thing. Talking about smartphones, the thing that's getting so bizarre is students now, and I'm not sure if this is only Japan, but I've caught myself doing this as well, but students now are writing papers and reports and things, like university students and probably even high school students as well, on their smartphones. They're faster and more comfortable writing on a smartphone. So they're actually doing work, something that you would be sitting at a full keyboard in front of a monitor doing. or sitting at a typewriter or a word processor if you were born in the previous century. They are writing things on smartphones and then needing to print, so send to a computer just to print, or like wirelessly printing from a cell phone. That's really bizarre. That's like a whole weird casual way of doing things. And you think it would be harder to proofread and check and things, but there's so many, spelling and grammar checking software and stuff now. There's so much that does that I guess it's okay. But that's amazing to me that there are people writing long forms and academic writing on their cell phone. Yeah, so it's taking over everything, the short form tweeting and text messaging, and then also long form writing, because I guess if you do enough, social media stuff, you get fast enough and you want to, oh, I'll just do a glass of water. There we go. That's a bedside type thing. But that's amazing. The people are kind of needing that. And that's why it's so ridiculous for, they can, and they have, kind of for the developers of, digital devices and software have kind of forced people to do things a certain way. But those people do have to adopt it. They do have to kind of choose that, because there are so many things that people have tried. Companies have tried to make people do and unsuccessfully, or, using software, or using technology a certain way, and people adopt it in a very unforeseen, unpredictable way, the way that they use things, and the types of, the kind of demographics that adopt things is very funny too. Because it seems like, well, that's the funny thing in Japan. I think the biggest demographic for Pokemon Go on a smartphone is people over 55. And they're not even a generation that, they were adults. They were well into adulthood when, Pokemon was a big hit in the 90s. It's not like they were even kids. They were not even university students. So, yeah, that's very funny. They were already out of school, but I guess just because of the kind of, it makes you walk around and do stuff, and, because it's GPS based, there's stuff going on in places you may be walking. So, yeah, I thought that was very funny. That Pokemon Go is a big hit with the older crowd in Japan. So you get all kinds of surprising adoption of things. But yeah, so it is strange when companies have the arrogance to think they can kind of force people to do things. And I think that's why now we're really feeling the big move by companies to want to control, the internet and what's on it, and like that law that the EU is dealing with now that's going to hold everybody responsible, kind of the opposite of what the US courts decided with like platforms like Google or or YouTube or whatever, that whatever is on it is not the responsibility of the platform but the users. And I think the EU is trying to go the opposite way with that, but I don't know if they're going to have much luck, because the US, is got to be one of the most litigious cultures, and YouTube was able to stop that. YouTube was able to say, hey, this isn't our responsibility. We'll take stuff down as fast as we can, but there's no guarantee that we're going to actually get it down in a timely manner. We'll do it as soon as possible. So we've already seen that they can kind of plead ignorance or being incapable of dealing with the quantity, the scale of the technology, and then found that they don't have to. They don't have to be responsible. Okay, so we'll go with something like this for an alarm clock. I'm trying to save this for an alarm clock with a glass of water. Maybe the water should be behind it. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Ay. All right. Yeah, I'll play around with that one later. just get something drawn. Okay, so yeah, and I'm having a tough time just getting my notifications out with this stupid live stream because I've realized the auto notification that I've been using with the restreaming service doesn't send any sort of link out. It sends my message, but I have to actually put the link in the message. Most often, like with YouTube or whatever, when it asks you if you want to auto post something to Twitter or G Plus or whatever, Google Plus, you know, it formats it and includes a link to it, and the notification thing that I'm using now doesn't do that. So I'm sending out these random sentences with hashtags, and people are like, okay, great, I don't know what you want me to do about that. So there's no links. So that's bizarre and frustrating. So I have to figure out a better way to notify for this stream, because whatever I was doing previously is not working anymore, and I'm definitely reaching very few people compared to what I was before. So yeah, that's a thing. All right, so let's keep at this. Oh yeah, I don't think there was anything. Can you hear that? I wonder. The traffic's pretty big, pretty loud. Yeah, that's the frustration that I'm having with I'd love to make this just like the broadcasting live streaming studio, the office space that I'm using now. But it's right by a very busy highway, and the building itself is older, so there's no double pane glass or anything to stop the sound. It's a steel cement building and just conducts all kinds of road noise. So if you get a loud enough truck or motorcycle, it just, you know, totally takes over the audio, and even when people are mic'd really close with, you know, pretty severely gated mics, there still picks up so much because I guess just so much bounces and vibrates the building and bounces around in the space. So that's very frustrating because it's kind of limiting what I can do as far as things here. And unless you're doing things really, really late, and even late at night, that's when a lot of the commercial traffic starts to pick up. Yeah, so it's a highway, and you know, I say highway, but if you saw outside, and if you've watched older streams, you have seen outside. It's like what, 4 lanes, 6 lanes, maybe 3 each way, not 6 each way, 3 each way. Yeah, so it's not exactly a mighty highway, but it's noisy enough. I don't know what that is. Oh, I know it could be though. Yeah, so that's been frustrating because I'd really like to stream more regularly and have a reliable place, but I guess that would have to be, you know, inside a more modern office space with a quieter, you know, with more sound dampening technologies. But even a lot of the newer offices I've been in, they say, you know, they have a lot of technology to make them quieter, but they're still pretty noisy. You hear, you know, the elevator and, you know, the floor above you and stuff just as much. All right. Something like this. Okay, or maybe more like that. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, so maybe to do this, I'm just going to kind of fake it so it gets across. It gets enough across on what I'm trying to do here. There we go. The Japanese washlet toilet seats. So unfortunately, this is becoming a Japanese cartoon, but that just occurred to me how funny that is. That is a souvenir now. That's a very popular souvenir. I've seen people at electronic stores with like 6, you know, Japanese toilet seats all lashed together. And they're not cheap either. I think they're, you know, between like $800 and $1,000 for a decent one. So it's, if anybody gets you that as a gift, that's quite a gift. They've spent several $100s on you if they give you a self-washing toilet seat. All right. Well, I'm making myself laugh, so I guess I'm in my old form. There we go. Okay, so there's our souvenir toilet seat. Wow. Okay, so let's put some color on these, and I guess I'll go with a weird cream color. Although, yeah, it's not yellow, not that warm. Yeah, maybe something like that. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that works. All right. And then I think I'll have to, oops, put some, is this happening here? Okay. All right, let's wait for Photoshop to figure out if I'm using it still or not. There we go. Okay. So let's do the little kind of control panel area. Maybe I'll just do the whole top, yeah. Edges. And then some colored buttons. Oh, no. Maybe a green. All right. Oof, that's way too dark. There we go. Okay, so these are our little selection buttons. And I won't tell you what any of them do. Okay. And then we just put shadow on all of that. Yeah, this actually may work. Yeah, so rice cookers, especially for Asian tourists in Japan, rice cookers and self-washing toilet seats are all the rage. That's what you see people lining up for. And they even started to have the electronic stores at the airports carry those things. Yeah, which is funny, but because I've heard that a lot of the Japanese companies realize that there's demand for their products in China, so they do factories. They have factories in China that are producing them, like kind of a domestic version, a Chinese domestic version, but people don't want those. They want the whatever it is of coming to Japan and having one from a store in Japan. And maybe it just has to do with the fact that they don't trust anything in their countries. If they say, oh, this is exactly the same as what is sold in Japan, except sold by us, that nobody will believe them, because very few Chinese companies have a decent, or maybe even care at all about trust from the consumers, so they don't have it. Yeah, but it's such a waste of time for them to be producing those things and then not being able to sell them because people want the one from Japan. Oof. Okay, something like that. Oh, I guess I have to put a face on this poor little guy too. Lovely. Where do you put a face on a toilet seat? Is this my first toilet seat? Oof. Wow. Don't know, maybe. Hopefully. That would be best if this was. That wasn't a common subject of my cartoons. All right, there's she be. Yeah, I guess I'll just on the front there. Probably be the best way. Should I, just so people know, maybe I should do, it's not hooked up or anything though, so maybe this doesn't make any sense. But to get the point across, maybe I should do, you know, kind of this sort of thing. Is that its own layer? Yeah, I'll decide about that later. I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. It depends on the joke, I guess. Yeah, something like that. But that'll probably move everything down. Bum, bum, bum. All right, well, there we go. Well, I'm making myself laugh. It's been months since I've done that, so there we are. Oh, and I finished this one. That's right. Yay. Doesn't need to be that big, I think. The scale might be a little bit confusing. Yeah, and then also that'll let me, yeah, maybe separate these. I think is better than that overlap. It'd be, I think it might be fun color-wise to overlap, but I think that is more clear about what things are. Okay. Yeah, and everything else can be on top. Whew. All right. Wow. So, let me just double check. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat a little bit better than before, just in case. I don't want anyone to say something I may not notice, because I've got, it does come up on the stream, but I have it set for like it only lasts 30 seconds, so it's pretty easy for me to overlook something that somebody wrote. There we go. I guess, yeah, things, maybe I should just go with a bright color. Things are pretty full screen, so full screen, and then here, and then I'll do a notch. Be a little bit more graceful. Notch. Yeah, and it's actually should go more to the edge here. It's probably, whoa, probably only the side of the phone. Oh, all right. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Yeah, and I guess I'll just do some, let's see if I have any good digital fonts for numbers. Let's see. What's going on? Oh, I guess it's... Oh, right. Okay, I'll do it dark for now so I can see. Hello. There we go. Oh, maybe just something like that. That's kind of bold enough. And then maybe do a... bigger than that. Oops. Whoa, hey, nice. Okay. And I'm gonna keep these editable. Editable. Let's raster the type. And then merge those two layers together. Yeah, if I'm not talking enough about what I'm doing and you're actually interested in what I'm doing, that would be a good thing to comment about, because yeah, I may not be paying enough attention. I gotta figure out what I want to do as far as the color of those, but I think this will work as far as putting it on the phone. And maybe the whole thing can come in a little bit. All right. Okay. Yeah, something like that. But I think, let's see, I'll just use a blending option. I think I might just want to make it white or something. Just do color overlay. Let's see. Oh yeah, maybe something like that. I know it's a little confusing about what this screen actually is. But yeah, let's do it like that. Okay. So color. And then some shadows on everything for now. Okay. All right, and then glass. Oops. Okay. I think I'm gonna wanna, yeah, maybe do a little bit of this. Something like that. Okay. I think that'll work as far as getting the idea across. It's not quite, whoa, it's not quite. Visually, it's a little weird, but I like I mean, the actual object, yeah, that I'm representing, that might be a little confusing. That green, but I like that. Look, yeah, I'm not sure if it's reading as much like a smartphone, but that's going to have to be part of the joke, I think. That it is a smartphone, and it's being an alarm clock, and it's not sure how it feels about that. And maybe some of these. There we go. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, so we have a smartphone as an alarm clock. And the washlet toilet seat. Okay, all right. Oof. That was a drudgery. Are we already? Yeah, geez, I'm already over an hour. And I haven't even written these nonsense things. Well, you get an extra long episode. Okay, so let's switch over for a quick convenience store segment. So here we go. All right. Well, welcome to the Konbini segment, the Japanese convenience store fun and games. So today I just have a couple of quick things, and maybe things I'm not going to actually eat. But there are two things that I thought were very funny and uniquely Japanese that I noticed students doing at the convenience stores. And the first one is this. So they make these, I guess, steamed chicken breasts that have different seasonings and things. This one is garlic. And there's garlic and kind of a barbecue and then a lemon herb kind of thing. And there's just a plain one. And these are supposed to just be bought with like their bag salads or their pre-made salads and just put something on top for a little additional protein in just a salad, a quick salad lunch. But the high school students I've seen walking around, because these things just peel open, and I'm not going to peel this open, but they just peel open. See, there's a little thing that says open right there, so I can peel this film apart, and then just walk around with this, just gnawing on a big piece of boiled chicken in my hand, gnawing on it like this. The thing that is so amazing for me is there's a lot of juice in here. It's very juicy and gross, but you don't want any carbs. You want only protein and as few calories as possible, because this is not very many calories, I'm sure. Oh yeah, 100 calories. Yeah, so you get your 100-calorie lunch, and it's got a little bit of other flavor besides chicken. And so you see kids walking around with one of these stuck in their mouth, like, what are they eating? Is that ice cream? What is that? No, it's a boiled chicken breast. Yeah, so this is the low-carb diet way for high school kids to get their lunch. So yummy. And the other thing that is a uniquely kind of Japanese student thing that it's more of a recent development, and I'll tell you why it's a recent development in a moment. So I'm going to use this bag of potato chips, and these are fried chicken flavored potato chips, and you see they're kind of holiday season or holiday colored. So fried chicken is, of course, I think we talked about KFC trying to corner the Christmas dinner market here. So the big dinners and big buckets of chicken and biscuits and mashed potatoes are KFC trying to make a Christmas tradition. It seems like that's not going as well as it used to, because I've seen a lot of commercials this year for saying, and for New Year's, because we know you're not making osechi anymore, why don't you have KFC too? So there was like a girl in a kimono like bringing KFC to their friend's house. It was very depressing. But so these are obviously a leftover from the holiday. So fried chicken flavored potato chips, right? So you're going to buy these potato chips at the convenience store, and when you go to pay for them, the cashier will ask you, I think if you're of a certain age or wearing a school uniform or something, they'll ask you, would you like disposable chopsticks with that? because now the waribashi, the wooden throwaway chopsticks, they offer those when they see that you've bought potato chips. And why would they do that? Because we are now, oh look, and I can even do it this way. So we are now, the students are a generation of smartphone users, right? So they're all using smartphones. So if you put your hand in a greasy bag of potato chips and you eat a potato chip, let's see what fried chicken flavor is like. Oh wow, fried chickeny. Oh, very fried chickeny. Wow. Oh, because it's really greasy, so it simulates it very well. Now look, I have all this horrible grease and fried chicken flavor, and I'm going to get it all over my smartphone and make my smartphone disgusting and dirty because I can't stay off of Twitter or Line or whatever I'm doing. So, and I don't even know if I can do this, but they give you these chopsticks. So when you eat your potato chips, you don't get any grease on your fingers. It's brilliant. Well, this is weirdly Japanese. I mean, maybe just Asian in general, but this is so funny, and it only comes about because people are using smartphones now. If you're just using a flip phone or whatever, maybe you don't care so much what's on your fingers. But now your screen is going to be covered with grease and salt and seasoning, like my fingers are, if you don't do this. So now we have people eating potato chips with chopsticks because I want to be able to use their smartphones. So if you ever see a Japanese student doing that, that is why they're doing it, and that's a more recent thing. And if you have, like, if this is all you're buying, if you're only buying a bag of potato chips at a convenience store, and the cashier offers you disposable chopsticks, that is why. He's being respectful of your smartphone screen, and he knows that you probably don't want it all greasy. So that's a very, because smartphones aren't that old, so it's a pretty recent development, just, a few years ago, and I think it started, more recently, but that's such an odd thing. Yeah, so the first time I ever saw that, I thought that was very strange and had to know why, and that's why. And wow, fried chicken potato chips are actually really good. I'm not sure what this brand, Yamayoshi, I've never had, I don't know if I've had their chips before, but those are surprisingly good. They simulate fried chicken incredibly well. So if you have a chance to try fried chicken potato chips, I suggest you do. All right, so I guess this has been a very chicken themed. So chicken potato chips and boiled chicken breast. So keep your fingers clean. Eat potato chips with chopsticks. That is, that's the funniest thing that I've heard recently. So there you go. Another trip to the Japanese convenience store. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully next time will be something even more exciting. So let's get back to the drawing and write these cartoons. There we go. Wow, I'm very surprised by how good those fried chicken potato chips taste. I guess I figured out, chips are greasy, chicken is greasy. Oh, that was something that was funny. There was a British couple in Japanese Taco Bell, and Japanese Taco Bell, in a weird way, every set that they have, they just throw a bunch of nacho chips on top of your order, or French fries that have like a Mexican seasoning, like a nacho cheesy kind of taco meat seasoning on them. And the British couple ordered, and they asked for chips, and when they got them, they had nacho chips thrown all over the top of their order, and they said, we actually didn't want chips, we wanted chips. Because they call fried potatoes or French fries chips, and they had no understanding, and I guess they just because I guess it's an American chain, so it's fried potato or chips. If you don't say potato, then they don't know you're talking about French fries or potatoes. So that was funny. They tried to not be frustrated and angry, but they were trying to explain, we call them chips, but we know you call them fried potatoes. But anyhow, they had a whole bunch of nacho chips on top of their order. Anyhow, okay, so the joke here is that let's see, whoa, Of all the possible... Ooh, there's a fun... Yikes, souvenir... Souvenir... Oh, no. I'm going to have to spell check that. Of all the possible souvenirs... Of all the possible Japanese... Souvenirs. Oof. I have no idea. Of all the possible Japanese souvenirs, he was surprised. Surprised at his own popularity. This is when being tired is not good. Even he, of all the possible Japanese souvenirs, even he was surprised. Surprised at his own popularity. Something like that. So I'm going to talk about it being a funny souvenir. Of all the possible Japanese souvenirs, even he was surprised at his own popularity. Something like that. And here... So the mobile phone could perfectly simulate. Yeah, so we're talking about the technology had gotten to the point. That's not good. That's not just clumsy. Technology. The point where a mobile phone something about a perfect simulation, or just kind of as a joke, because, or in a humorous way, because it's not that amazing that a phone is an alarm. Smartphone and digital clock. Let's see. The mobile phone had grown so smart that he was able perfectly a digital alarm clock. The smartphone. Maybe smartphone. So smart that he was able to perfectly the smartphone had grown so smart that he was able to perfectly simulate a digital alarm clock. The smartphone was now able to perfectly simulate. The smartphone had grown so smart that he was now able. Yeah, the joke is not that. The joke is something else, like he'd given up, you know, the smartphone had grown so smart. And then the smartphone... Oh, yeah. I think that's better. The smartphone was able to simulate a digital alarm clock so perfectly that he no longer considered himself a phone. That's a really long one. The smartphone was able to simulate a digital alarm clock so perfectly. For unsocial people, the smartphone was still an amazing digital alarm clock. Maybe antisocial is funnier. Or more correct, for antisocial people, the smartphone was still an amazing digital alarm clock. Digital. For antisocial people, the smartphone was still an amazing digital alarm clock. That's better. That's closer to something kind of funny. But that's, yeah, that's the idea. For antisocial people, the smartphone was still an amazing digital alarm clock. And of all the possible Japanese souvenirs... Okay, I'm going to do this right now so I can find out how badly I spelled that. It's I-O-R? What? I spelled it correctly? Oh, get out of here. Wow. Souvenirs. I guess I did. I had zero confidence in that. Oof. Okay. Of all the possible Japanese souvenirs, even he was surprised at his own popularity. The washing toilet seat. And for antisocial people, the smartphone was still an amazing digital alarm clock. Whew. Okay, we did it. This was a lot harder than I thought. And almost 90 minutes of amazing cartoon goodness. Okay, so that's all for this week. So thank you so much for watching. And please consider, if you enjoy this stream and if you enjoy this cartoon, please consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/abusecartoons. There's all sorts of pledge levels with some physical rewards or some emotional rewards. Some wonderful things can happen because I would like to dedicate as much of my time to doing this as possible. So it would be great if anyone was interested in contributing. So things like books and original art and things are there as well. And you can follow this cartoon on Twitter at Abusecartoons, and then abusecartoons.com is the website. And it's also available with the subscription on gocomics.com. So thousands of comics in your inbox through Go Comics. So things like Calvin and Hobbes and Too Much Coffee Man and Doonesbury, just about anything you can think of is syndicated by them. And so take a look at that site as well. So thank you for joining me. And don't forget to use your chopsticks when you eat potato chips to prevent all that smartphone contamination. And I will see you again next week. Goodbye.